Good day. Welcome to News Express. Fresh political turmoil has erupted inside the Social Democratic Party, SDP, after the Shehu Gabam leader faction announced the expulsion of the party's former presidential candidate, Adewole Adebayo, alongside 12 other top party figures during a dramatic convention and presidential primary held in Abuja. The development has now thrown the party deeper into crisis at a critical moment when opposition movements across Nigeria are repositioning aggressively ahead of the 2027 presidential election. The shocking decision was announced during the faction's national convention, where delegates loyal to Gabam also adopted Lagos businessman Abimbola Atanda as the SDP's new sole presidential candidate through a voice note. The shocking decision was announced during the faction's national convention, where delegates loyal to Gabam also adopted Lagos businessman Abimbola Atanda as the SDP's new sole presidential candidate through a voice vote. The move immediately signaled a major power shift inside the party and exposed the deepening internal battle over leadership, control of party structures, and the future direction of the SDP ahead of the next general election. Among those expelled alongside Adewole Adebayo are several prominent party officials, including factional national chairman Sadiq Gumbe, national secretary Olu Agunloye, and national publicity secretary Rufus Ayiniba. Other expelled members include Joseph Abu, Maggie Batubu, Saadatu Abdullahi, Abimbola Aderemi, Ugochukwu Oba, Hossein Benlo, Alabi Lekan, Rosemary Ifyong, and Abubakar Modibo. The convention did not stop there. Delegates loyal to the Gabam faction reportedly moved swiftly to dissolve the party's National Working Committee before electing an entirely fresh set of national officers through another voice vote. The rapid restructuring reflected the intensity of the internal struggle now consuming the SDP as competing camps battle for legitimacy and control ahead of 2027. The expulsion of Adewole Adebayo is especially significant because he emerged as one of the most visible political figures associated with the SDP during the last presidential election cycle. Known for his outspoken criticism of both the APC and traditional opposition politics, Adebayo built a reputation among sections of educated urban voters and politically frustrated Nigerians who viewed him as an alternative voice outside the mainstream political establishment. Now, however, his future within the party appears uncertain following the dramatic convention decision. The crisis also highlights a wider problem increasingly affecting opposition parties across Nigeria. As political tension rises ahead of 2027, several parties are experiencing internal division, factional disputes, leadership battles, and fierce struggle over presidential tickets and party structures. From the PDP to the ADC, and now the SDP, opposition politics is becoming increasingly fragmented as major political figures reposition themselves for the next election cycle. Inside the SDP, specifically, the latest developments may further weaken the party's ability to project unity nationally. The adoption of Abimbola Atanda as sole presidential candidate through a voice vote. The adoption of Abimbola Atanda as sole presidential candidate through a voice vote is already expected to generate controversy among party members and supporters questioning the legitimacy of the convention and the expulsion carried out during the gathering. Critics may also argue that the rapid removal of senior officials and restructuring of leadership positions reflects deeper instability within the party. Meanwhile, supporters of the Gabam faction insist the convention was necessary to restore order, discipline, and direction within the SDP ahead of the presidential election season. Political observers believe the crisis could eventually end up in court as rival factions battle over legitimacy, recognition, and ownership of the party structure. Similar leadership disputes have repeatedly weakened opposition parties in Nigeria, often leading to prolonged legal battles, parallel conventions, and confusion among supporters before elections. The timing of the SDP crisis is also politically important. Across the country, opposition coalitions continue struggling to build united platforms capable of challenging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC in 2027. However, internal divisions inside smaller opposition parties may further complicate efforts to create one strong national coalition against the ruling party. For many Nigerians, watching the situation unfold, the latest SDP crisis raises familiar concerns about whether opposition parties can maintain internal democracy, discipline, and stability long enough to present themselves as credible alternatives nationally. Because while the APC continues benefiting from incumbency and nationwide political structures, several opposition parties remain trapped in internal wars over leadership, candidate selection, and control of party machinery. Now, with Adewole Adebayo expelled, a new presidential candidate adopted, and the National Working Committee dissolved, the SDP appears to have entered one of the most turbulent phases in its recent political history. And unless the internal conflict is resolved quickly, the party may face an even deeper crisis heading into the 2027 elections. That's all for now on News Express, and to our amazing viewers, kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm Chidera Esom. Thank you for watching. Do have a beautiful day.